We all pass.
And then we're going to do two of the domain and range ones. You guys are going to watch me to make sure I don't screw up. Actually, I did so much better the rest of the day. I have to tell you, it was great. Today or yesterday ended up being a great day. Super good. Okay. Anyway, 8 is 4 and 2, which is 2 and 2. Okay. And I have a pair of 2s. So I'm going to circle cancel. This 2 is left over. Okay. Now, the 7 is already outside. He's going to stay outside and multiply with the 2 that's circled that's coming outside. And then this 2 stays inside because he doesn't have a pair. Okay, so let me say that again. The 7's already outside. He stays outside, multiplies with this 2, which is circled. And then this 2 stays inside because it didn't have a pair. So 14 square root 2. Okay, 196. Okay, now this one I put here on purpose because 196 is 14 times 14. If you get pairs in your factor tree, you can circle cancel them right now. You don't have to go all down to 2 and 7 and 2 and 7. You have two 14s. Circle cancel. The -6 is outside, so he stays outside and multiplies with the circle of 14, and then the root is gone. This one is a perfect square root. It came out perfectly, so you're not going to have anything left over. -6 times 14 is -84. Thank you so much. This is so satisfying when they come out evenly. It doesn't happen very often, but super satisfying. Super satisfying. Okay, now can you guys find the domain and range formats page, please? So I decided in third period, no, this is fifth period to change from the highlighter to red pen. It seems to show up better. So I'm going to try red pen, mark on the page. We're going to do problems 3 and 4. Okay. Number 3, this is the x-axis, y-axis. I'm going to draw on the axes themselves. Now this arrow is going down forever, but it's also going left forever. So even though it doesn't really look like it, it's going to go left forever. So my graph goes left forever. My graph exists here, my graph exists here, my graph exists here, and then this arrow is going up forever, but it's also going right forever. So eventually the entire x-axis will be covered. What do we do when the whole axis is covered? All real numbers. And you can write that out or you can be lazy like me. Okay, now the range is easier. You can tell that that arrow goes up forever. The graph exists here, 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 and goes down forever. This might be my favorite domain and range problem. The range is also all real numbers. Okay, now I'm going to come back in. Did any of my vertical lines hit it twice? No, so it is a function. Okay, when you're ready, move on down to number 4. Okay. X, Y. Okay, on the x-axis, it looks like it's going left forever. It exists here, it exists here, it exists here, it exists here, and is going right forever. Domain is all real numbers. Okay, but the range is not. The range is only here. This is the only spot on the y-axis where this graph exists. When it's a dot, we just put y equals whatever the number is, which is 3. Oh no, I'm mixing up my pink and red. Okay, and I'm going to do the vertical line test. Did it hit that line twice anywhere? Nope. So it is a function. Done. Okay, now can you guys find last night's homework, please, which was the chapter 1, quiz 1 review? Is there anything that you want to talk about from this? Take a look at it, take a minute. Yes. Right. So I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'll tell you the steps. Okay. So to find the x-intercept, let y equals 0, which means you're just going to cover up the y with your finger. And you can see that 4x equals 12, so x is 3. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Then to find the y-intercept, you're going to let x equal 0, so you're going to cover up the 4x with your finger, and you're going to say, okay, y is -4. Okay, and then you're going to make sure to write those two things in coordinates, x, y coordinates. Do you know what I mean by that? So if you solve for x in this one, that's the x and the y was 0. Okay. All right. Then you're going to plot those 2 points that you get and make a line between them. Okay. Then you're going to take this and convert it to slope-intercept form. So you would minus 4x from both sides. And you'd have -3y equals -4x plus 12. Does that make sense? And then divide everything by -3. And so you would end up with y equals 4/3 x minus 4. Trying to do it in my head. This one should be correct in the key at least. Oh, hey, I did it. Look. And then you can take this and make sure that it matches the 2 points that you put for your x and y intercepts and made your line. So you could go down 4 and then up 4/3 to check to make sure that your line's correct. All good? Okay, great. Okay, you guys, now what I'd like you to do is take this and please leave this face up in your packet and then just scooch your packet to the side and then grab your notebook. Or a piece of graph paper, that's fine too. Okay. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to come stamp your quiz review while you're setting up your notebook. So you're going to draw all of this in your notebook or on graph paper while I'm stamping. In like 5 minutes, I'm gonna move it down so you can see the bottom of the paper. Does that all make sense to you guys? And so make your paper look just like my paper. Well, and yeah. Also, if you do not finish the quiz review, just tell me to keep moving. It's okay, I will not be offended. So real quick, the function machine bit is large. So if you're running out of room at the bottom, you might want to go to the next page for the function machine bit. Because I actually drew the machine. Well, I didn't like draw all the gears and stuff, so I drew what the machine was. Are you guys okay if I scooch it down to there? Can you guys see all that okay? I'll move it up again in a minute. Okay, if I move it up past the graphing table. You guys all set to hear? Okay. Now that's the end of it. If you don't have room for the stack, just like cram it in there. You guys, I'm gonna return back to this page in a couple, I mean, this part in a couple of minutes, but I would like to get these notes done so that we can have plenty of time for your quiz. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll this back to the top. If you're not done, it's okay, because I'm gonna come right back to this in a minute. Okay. Functions, notes. A function is an equation, table, or graph where there are no inputs. Inputs are the x's that have two different outputs, which is the y's. So a function is an equation, table, or graph where there are no x's that have two different y's. And we decide whether or not something is a function differently from a table and a graph. We also did a mapping when you were in Math 1, but we're not doing the mapping now because you don't really see those in Math 3. For a table, you're looking for this situation here. So you have two coordinates where it's the same x but different y's. That makes it not a function. And if you think about the vertical line test, those dots would be right above each other. So that would fail the vertical line test. Okay, so we say, is it a function? No. -6 has two different outputs. Okay, now for our graph, we are going to do the vertical line test, which is what we've been doing on our paper. And when you do the vertical line test, you only need to do one line to disprove it. So I'm just going to do a line right here. That line hit the graph twice. So I'm going to say no fails vertical line test. Hey, does anyone need more time with this part of the notes? Please raise your hand if you need more time. Okay, so now we're going to shift down to the machines. Okay, a forward function machine means that you take the function that was given to you and you plug x in every spot. I'm going to do the math down here. So I'm going to say, I'm right here, f of -3 is 2 times -3 squared minus -3. So I did 2x squared minus x. Notice I put my -3's in parentheses. I did that on purpose. Okay, now I want to remind you that a negative times a negative is a positive, and that you do the exponent first. So this becomes 2 times 9, positive 9. And then minus a -3 becomes +3. So when you have minus a negative, it becomes plus. 2 times 9 is 18 plus 3 is 21. So f of -3, which means the function value at -3 is 21. It also says if x is -3, f of x is 21. Any questions about the forward function machine? Okay, now we're going to do the stacked function machine, which is what you guys were working on yesterday in your puzzles. So you had an input, that had an output and then you drop that output into the next one. So that's what you guys were doing yesterday. So I'm going to plug the 8 in. I'm going to do my work over here. F of 8, I'm writing this part. F of 8 equals the cube root of 8 plus 9. Okay, now cube root, I just want to remind you, it's something times itself times itself. So the cube root of 8 is circle, cancel, cancel, not circle, cancel. So F of 8 equals 2 plus 9, which is 11. Okay, that means that my input to my new machine is 11. So I have G of 11 is negative absolute value of 11. Order of operations here says you take the absolute value first. So you make this positive and then apply the negative. So this is negative 11. So G of F of 8 is negative 11. It means that I plugged 8 into F, then took that and plugged it into G and got negative 11. Okay, last one. Backward function machine. By the way, if you were wondering about those last two problems on your Math 1 and 2 review worksheet, this was the forward function machine was the second to last problem, and the backward function machine was the very last problem. The one that said like f of 4 and then f of x equals 4. That was these. Okay. Backward function machine means that you have the output, but you don't have the input. Do you guys see how this and this match? That means instead of substituting the 1 in for x, I'm going to substitute the 1 in for f of x. So my work is going to be 1 equals the square root of x minus 5. And then I make an equation and solve for x. Do you guys see the difference? So instead of the x being 1, the y is 1. Okay, add 5 to both sides. Okay, how do I undo a square root? Square both sides, beautiful. So x has to be 36. And let's just check, because this is something you can actually check. If I plug in 36, what's the square root of 36? 6 minus 5 is what? Okay, please listen to instruction. I need you to put everything away in your backpack except for your pencil. Or you can also have an eraser, of course. Everything in your backpack except for your pencil. And put your backpack along the wall, please.